came up with like multi-guests and then how many people, like...
Maximum number of spots, change.
Yes.
4.
Change it to 1.
But it won't give me that option, Harold. Almost. Let me try it again.
Whatever's before 2 is what I press.
I see it. I think I have to change this. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now I can see comments. I can see all them. I think all those messages were just people joining and commenting. Okay, now I think everything's good. Hello, everybody. Only took us 6 minutes to get that settled. Now I can comment and enjoy.
Such pros.
And now hopefully this is the default setting for me, and I won't have to do it again. That's Hi, Cara. How you doing?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
Very good, very good. I've watched our episode of 911 this morning. It's kind of like becoming a Sunday morning tradition for me to watch it in preparation for a conversation. So it was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it.
Are you watching it alone, or have you dragged any of the rest of your family into it?
Well, my girlfriend won't watch with me because she doesn't like stressful situations. She won't watch horror movies with me either for the same reason. But this one, I don't know. She's a fan of the non-cop helping cop genre of procedural. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Like, you know, your Castle or your Lucifer is another one that she really likes, where it's like, you know, it's someone outsider coming to help the police with their crime or whatever.
Yeah, helping the police with crime. Yeah.
I'm watching this one by myself. No, this is sitting on the couch watching it Sunday morning. It's been fun.
Well, I watch it as soon as I can get it on a Friday, because otherwise I can't go on social media, because my FYP is just pretty much 27,000 people talking about 911.
Really? I don't see any of that. Maybe I will now that we're doing this live. Wonder if I'll see more of that kind of stuff coming to my feed. I might have to start watching it more urgently. I mean, it is there for me Friday morning on Disney Plus if I want to watch it, but I just kind of have been waiting because I want to kind of still be fresh in my mind as we talk about it. That's why I've been waiting.
Yeah.
So.
This week, I only watched it once, I must admit. Not because I didn't like it. I thought it was a terrific episode. But the thing that I was watching it on kept buffering, and it kept giving me the perfect amount of time to write notes.
Oh, perfect.
So
you just jot down whatever's in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that too. So one thing I know, and you can tell me if this is normal for this series, is its ability to shift away from the problems of the previous episode and into the problems of the current episode very, very quickly. Because we did not have a lot of bees in this episode. The last episode was all about the bees. We had a few bees. Lena swatted a bee at one point when she was in the cockpit of the plane, but it was not bees on a plane as I thought it would be. It seemed to be like the bees were gone and dealt with after this, and they just kind of focused on the plane. Getting the plane to land properly was the focus of this episode.
Yeah, they lied to us. They do that a lot. They lie to us in promo a lot. Like, they'll cut together scenes that aren't actually scenes together. And last season, we had a moment where, in the promotional material, you heard Bobby say to Eddie, so you know which one's Bobby, don't you? And Eddie's the guy with the mustache. And we heard him say to Eddie, I can't tell you how you feel about the job. And so we all got in a big panic about whether he was going to leave. But what he actually said, as it turned out, was, I can't tell you how to feel about Marisol, which was his girlfriend at the time. And we were like, you just outright lied to us. And they kind of lied about the bees. You know, it was like, oh, we're going to have a 3-part bee emergency. And we were like, that's not going to work. And yeah, it wouldn't, so they didn't. That's nice to know.
But not only that, but also with Gerard, like that emergency with Gerard where they, you know, he hits his head and he's off and he's clearly got a concussion. Kind of was funny a little bit there with some of the stuff he's saying. But they also get him off to the hospital, and then we're worried about him. We're not worried about him. We're having a good time because Gerard's away. But that's it. That's it for him. And I'm sure he's in good hands now, and he'll have to recover from that concussion, but he's not in danger anymore, right? So it seemed like as a serious issue, as a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, was resolved like that in the next episode, right?
Yeah, and that happens all the time. You will notice that someone will have a life-changing injury, and in the next episode, we have no idea how much of a time jump there's been. There's no information about how long ago they were in hospital, but now they're up and about and fine and back at work, and you're like, what happened?
That's hilarious. Okay, where do you want to start this discussion? You want to go through the episode or what?
Yeah. I mean, I liked last week when you just asked me a load of questions. That was really fun. But you might have fewer questions this week because you're getting to grips with how the show works.
I am starting to see how the show works, but I kind of admire it for that. Like, I like that it's not just another episode about bees, because we've already had the bees, right? We don't need the bees. One thing I did want to say about the 3-part intro to the series, to the season rather, because this is clearly that. This episode also ends on a cliffhanger, so it's like there's going to be another continuation of this story in the next episode. The 3-parter, we talked about Happy Days briefly last week, the week before. That's like a tried and true method, and Happy Days always did a 3-part opener. They always had like a 3-part story that you would have to watch 3 weeks in a row, and it's a part of like developing the viewer habits, right? And so it's interesting to me the network is still doing this as like just trying to build habits of people. We're going to sit down and watch this. They want people to watch live on ABC on Thursday nights. I don't know how many people are still doing that, but the habit of like, we're watching this show, that's still very strong. Hey, I think it's interesting.
That's an excellent point that I hadn't thought of, that for new viewers, they kind of having a 3-episode opener makes them watch the first 3 episodes, and then after that you kind of should be hooked. Maybe that's why last season, even though they only had 10 episodes, they still did a 3-part opener, because they'd moved networks. So they were opening themselves up to a whole new audience on ABC. They used to be on Fox. And so they were like really big on promoting it. And so yeah, that makes much more sense as to why they squeezed a 3-episode opener into a 10-episode season.
But this one is really interesting because it's always ending on a cliffhanger. So you're going to want to come back next week to find out what happens. This one ended on a cliffhanger, last week it ended on a cliffhanger of the 2 planes collided. I didn't catch what happened. Did they show us what happened to that pilot the first time? Or was that
all we saw was a hole in the roof, so I realized
I was so tired when that pilot died, because then we saw like a little bit of this episode, we see a little bit of the behind the scenes of the people getting on the plane. And like it kind of brought to mind a lot of plane disaster movies I've seen, like Airplane in those films, or Airport rather, where the serious ones. Airplane was the comedy, but even still, there's always a scene of all the passengers getting on. Snakes on the Plane was like this as well. You get to know the passengers a little bit, the people who are going to be a part of this story in this episode. And so we meet this pilot. She's so nice. She's nice to the kid. She's nice to everybody. She's about to go back and talk to Athena about whatever it is Athena's worried about. Athena needs to get, oh yes, of course she needs to get through, and oh sure, I'm coming back there anyway. And then she gets sucked out of the top of the thing and she's gone.
Yeah.
And I felt bad. I felt sorry that character was gone.
Yeah, it's horrifying. I always think a sort of instantaneous, out of nowhere death is always like, because it's so heartbreaking. Like you're just there 1 minute and then that's it. It's over. And I'm like, and how terrifying it would be to find yourself outside of the airplane.
Yeah, absolutely. But so then we have her, like we have kind of this, it's weird the way it kind of stabilizes, and the pilot of she gets the co-pilot up long enough to turn on the autopilot, I guess is all he does, right? She helps him reach the autopilot switch, turn that on.
Yeah, I think he levels the plane out, and then because he's leveled it out, the autopilot kicks in. That's how I understood it. But I knowing absolutely nothing about aeronautical engineering, as I do, I was amazed that a plane could fly with not 1 but 2 holes in it.
Well, that's the thing. It seemed to have like this, that thing, like the chair blocked that one hole that was in the cockpit. So that whole thing. And the other hole had it had like a wing sticking out of it from the other plane. I'm like, yes. I don't know how that's still a thing. But it was for a while there, it was working. Like it was still something that people...
I suppose it's like if you've got like a shard of glass, you smash a glass in your hand and you've got a shard of glass. You're meant to leave it in because
right. You don't pull it out because it'll pull, and maybe that was helping with the aerodynamics of it still with the tail. So that was still not affecting until later on when it shifts around and flies out, and then it basically turns what's a stable flight situation into a crash situation in like 2 seconds, which is brilliant the way that was set up. What else do I have here? I just wrote down this note. Such a stressful show! ! It is a very stressful show at times. Like it's just like. It can go like that. It can really ramp up like in 2 seconds. It can go from they're having fun they're serving, like they're getting ready to eat supper. It looks like at the fire hall, right? We got Hen, who's been kind of in charge now because Gerard's in the hospital, so everything's nice and relaxed, back to normal kind of, although Bobby's not there. We get to see a little bit of what he's doing too. That's fun. I really like those scenes with Bobby on set and working with those guys. It's hilarious.
The guy who is obsessed with Bobby, I'm absolutely loving that whole
saddle up. Yeah, what did he say? What's his catchphrase? Time to saddle him up, boys. Something like that.
Yes, let's saddle him up. So, and he's just like, he's one of these sort of ridiculous method actory kind of guys who takes himself far too seriously, and it's just so.
It's really funny.
So funny. I love that story.
So then we got I love that the radio is smashed. How convenient that the radio is smashed. They can't talk to the tower directly. So the only way out of there is to call good old 911, which is the title of the show. So they have to they get boop boop boop, and they do the call through. Now it doesn't go to Jennifer Love Hewitt. It goes to this other dude. Is he another main character in the show? This other dude?
He is a recurring. So okay. Yeah, Josh.
Okay, so it goes to Josh, and so it's Athena talking to Josh about their situation in the plane, and so he patches them to the tower so they can all talk. And they have unlimited cell phone batteries and unlimited and like the strongest cell phone signals ever known to man in this situation. Like, just saying, like, I can't get a constant signal on the bus going from my house to downtown. It's always going in and out. And these guys, like, it's like crystal clear, and she's in the air, 30,000 feet in the air. It's crazy.
But just to let you know, we have seen some of those people in air traffic control before.
Oh,
we've had an emergency at air traffic control where someone like had a heart attack, and we have seen some of those people in an earlier season. So that was a fun recall.
Okay, so so there's interesting.
I just wanted to say right at the very beginning of the episode, like you said, we sort of went back in time and saw the people boarding the plane. The immediate, like, oh, the little kid who's obsessed with planes is gonna land this plane. Like, I was so thrilled for him.
I was also, but I'll say this. Have you seen the recent Indiana Jones film, the most recent Indiana Jones film?
No.
Okay, it does this. It does the kid obsessed with planes who flies a plane. But I found it more believable in this than I did in that Indiana Jones film, which is like a kid who is like learning, I don't remember what it is. I mean, it's it's during World War II, right? Or pre-World War II. So it's like in the 30s, and this kid's flying like a really much simpler plane than this. But it's much more believable to me now that this kid is obsessed over planes, right? And for even a couple of years, and knows everything about them, probably has played simulators and stuff, so he knows how everything works. Like, it totally believable to me that this kid would exist and would come on there and be able to help her in this situation. So that felt right to me.
Yeah. I loved him. Every time he appeared, I was like writing notes going, yay, the kid!
And they still have like a nice little story about him and the dad going off to Hawaii because of something his mom used to do, and they lost the mom a couple of years ago. And like, there's a nice, like, you could tell the dad and the kid had a good relationship from the beginning, because he's not yelling at his, like, the first thing, the kid goes running off to the cockpit as soon as they get on the plane. And I'm expecting the dad to get mad at the kid, because that's what I always see in these movies. What are you doing? Get back in here. Stop bothering the pilot. But he's like very nice and understanding about it. It was completely surprised me.
Yeah. Nice people.
I know. It's like, holy shit, it's not stereotypical characters. It's awesome. Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, I've written something down here and I now don't know. Something you wouldn't have picked up on. Oh, no, you should do, because it was in the pilot episode. The episode that they're filming of Hot Shots.
Yes, I got that reference to the baby in the toilet, right? That's what they're doing. And he's like, I've been through this situation. I can tell you guys all this thing about, like, this is not working. He's got the asshole director, which I love that line about he'll be gone next week and you'll still be here. Like, that's kind of a fun thing. So they're starting to like him on the set of this show. But he also
I love that he's like, you wouldn't go in with whatever equipment you're going in with, and it's like, it's the fact that Buck was like, I'll get our baby out, was just swinging for that wall, and he's like, you haven't thought any of this through.
Yeah. But it also provided a good excuse for him to have to turn his cell phone off, so he couldn't get a call from Athena at the time when she needed to call him, which was a great, like, that whole thing with Buck coming to get him at the end. I love that. That was great as far as like creating the dramatic moment for that, for him to find out, okay, we're going to take this fire truck, and then they're off and trying to go, doing all the other fire trucks going to LAX, right?
And another very nice callback, because, of course, in the pilot, Buck steals a fire truck. But he steals a fire truck to go and have naughty fun times in it. Gross. And now he's stealing a fire truck with his stand-in dad, because Bobby's like his father figure, and Brad from Hot Shots. I love that he got in that fire.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so then back on the plane. So they've got basically, they've got this entire fire hall triaging all the injuries that have happened on the plane, because they basically, this is like a Super 911 show where all these different things are happening all in one plane, so they have to deal with all these different injuries, and they have to talk these people through it. So we've got Hen is dealing with like a girl. I kind of like how they did that too, where that guy kind of said something to the girl and she kind of brushed him off, and then they later on she has to help save his life. I thought that was a nice moment. But Hen has to help her talk to this guy who's having trouble breathing, doesn't know why, and it's because he didn't get his mask on in time when the whole thing, decompression, happened. So he has like an injury with his lungs. I can't remember what they called it.
He's drowning. He's got high altitude. Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And so she's doing that. And then I wrote down here, Chimney gets the hardest job because he's got to deal with the teenager with the broken and very severely broken ankle, and they've got to like get a splint and he's got to talk them all through this, and they've got like some kind of weird thing happening with her blood pressure where it's building up. They've got to cut her open to get it, like, and it's like so. And the best line in the show was, "You cut open my leg and it feels better," something like that. You can write it down word for word. But it's like, "You cut my leg and it feels better."
I liked it when the prisoner was like, "I know how to make something sharp. Just give me a toothbrush and something to melt it with."
Literally in the plane won't do it, so you have to do a shiv. That was so funny.
Yeah. And then the guy said, "What are you doing?" And he went, "Oh, I'm making it's a prison shiv." And he went, "Well, where did you learn to do that?" And he was like, "Where do you think?"
I think the line "prison" would have worked just as well in that situation. Like, they could have just gone with "prison" and then just let him get back to work. Yeah. But it's still funny, and that they end up using a shiv to cut open this girl. Nobody else in I guess they're not allowed to bring knives on planes anymore. Any kind of a knife. I guess that's the joke, right?
Because I like that Chimney was saying you need something sharp. Airplane cutlery is not going to do the job.
Right, yeah.
And I liked, my favourite line of the show was when everyone was on, Chimney was helping out with this compartment syndrome leg situation, and Hen was, helping out with the drowning in the midair. And in the meantime, Buck was desperately on the phone trying to find Bobby, and you heard him go, "It's an emergency. It's several emergencies." That was a good line.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, there's a couple of good ones. I like the reference to the movies, like when they're talking about Platoon and the joke about Cocoon. That was a funny joke. I liked it.
That was really, I really enjoyed that one as well. That was really good.
A lot of good movie references in the show. Like in every episode I've seen so far, there's been a good movie reference. So I think that the makers of the show love film.
Yeah, they really do, and they reference it. Tim Minear loves to reference a film, whether it's in a throwaway line or like a whole episode. I loved the fact that they had to treat the guy's breathing issue with Viagra.
Oh, I love that couple. The couple.
Yeah, they were so good. And I loved that they were like, "Oh, give him a blanket." And she went, "Oh, what's the blanket for?" And Hen went, "Modesty." And I'd forgotten by that point that it was Viagra. So I'm glad they had that in, because I was like, yeah, he's going to want that.
Yeah, and that was an interesting solution to that problem. It was, again, that couple was hilarious with all that stuff. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I got some." He's looking at he has the medication, and she's got the whatever, the thing that she needs to vaporize it.
Nebulizer, yeah.
Like, it's just the benefit of being geriatric, my dear. But they're like, I like that. There's a lot of nice moments like that throughout this, and people like she had to keep standing and say, okay, now I need this. It's me again. Now I need this. And she kept having to like announce to the whole crowd that she needs something else. That was pretty funny.
And I thought the dog was amazingly calm through the entire thing.
Right. Yes, that's right. It was doing its job well as far as being a travel companion, comfort dog. Yeah, that's what it's there for. So, and that guy even said that, right? He just thought they were bullshit, and now he
was like, this is helping.
yeah.
I did enjoy when we had the situation where Athena hadn't known about the second hole in the plane, towards the back of the plane, and the air steward came and got her and was like, you need to know about this. And she went up the back and she said, okay, we need to move all these people to the front. And I was like, did the air stewards and stewardesses not already, why are they suddenly useless? Like, why is Athena suddenly the person in charge of everything?
She took charge. She took charge of the situation, right? And she immediately went to the cockpit and started like...
Yeah, and she's a badass and she's fabulous and I love her. But, except sometimes she's a bit of a dodgy cop, but we'll get into that later. But all I mean is, it surprises me when people whose job it is to handle certain situations suddenly can't handle a certain situation because the main character has to handle it. And I always get a bit like, it's a trope I don't really enjoy.
Well, the thing you get point of calling it out later, they're like, you're going to want to move people away from that. She's like, already done. Like, I mean, I guess it's supposed to show that she already thought of it, but clearly the other flight attendant did not think of it, right? And there's something they should be trained to do. And the other thing is, I thought, is that there was another point where they're trying to help the co-pilot who's unconscious. And I thought that, I don't know if it was the same flight attendant or who it was, but that guy was pretty like, okay, his pulse is this. And he seemed to know what he was doing as far as CPR and the emergency procedures. So I thought that flight attendant was doing a good job, right? It was weird.
And skipping to the end, in very spaced style, we, at the end of it, when we think that the co-pilot has recovered enough to land the plane, and then he gets has a heart attack, like, mwah, chef's kiss, she then starts doing CPR, and I'm like, you have another job to do, lady. Like, other people can do CPR. You get back in the cockpit.
I trust that kid to land that plane. I tell you this much. That kid is amazing.
Kid's going to land the plane. I love that kid.
I think they're going to do it together. I don't think that co-pilot is getting up. I think that co-pilot's going to be out of it. Hopefully he won't be dead. I hope he doesn't die, but he won't regain consciousness in time to help them. And she's going to have to go and land the plane with the kid. And I think it's awesome. Again, they're doing such a better job of it because the kid is like a character you like. And you're rooting for him. You want him to be able to save the day. His dad's there, and he's all proud of him and stuff. And he brings him to the front to help. That's awesome. So that's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah. And I didn't see the second emergency happening. You know, when they've sort of dealt with the medical emergencies, and that the captain of the volleyball team, who's had her leg cut open so she feels better, she is sitting with her teammates going, doesn't matter, guys, we're going to be okay. And she's giving this like beautiful motivational speech. And then like the second hole reopens, like the wing gets sucked out of the plane. I genuinely didn't see that coming. So I was just thinking, and I thought they were just going to have to I thought they were then going to land the plane in the episode. But that's the third episode, obviously. Well, sorry, I didn't see it coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. I was totally involved, totally invested in it. I was not like aware. A lot of times I'm aware of like where we are in the episode because of the structure of it. When I watch shows like Star Trek and older shows like that are kind of made at a certain time, you can tell like where we are within the act structure and coming back from the commercial break and that kind of thing. But this show, I was like, okay, yeah, like are we going to land this plane before? Like I wasn't even paying attention to the time. And when it cut, I'm like, oh, like that was my reaction. Like, I don't want to, I want to see what happens. So now I have to wait a whole week to see it. And I get that's exactly what they want. They want us to be hanging on the edge of our seats, right? They did a great job of that. Excellent work with that pacing and completely unexpected. I also want to make sure that I say this. I like this guy, Dennis, the guy who is like helping with the shiv, and then he kind of goes up to talk to her in the cockpit, and he's coming out to talk. Like, he seems like a good guy. He tells his whole kind of story about how he got the Epstein character to talk to him or whatever. Like, he gets shivved in prison, so then all of a sudden, and he was planted there as a mole basically to learn all these people. So he's like planted there by the feds, who we see in one horrible scene. I didn't really see the point of that scene, except the cut from that joke about her making, I'm sure whatever situation Athena is in, she's in perfect control of it. Cut to plane crashing, right? That was the only reason for that scene. I didn't really want to see those guys. Like, how would they not know the plane was in trouble? Like, why are they freaking out?
They don't know she's on the plane.
Okay, I don't know.
She changed flights, remember? Because somebody knows where they are. So when in the first episode, when she realized that someone was trying to steal Dennis, she realized they needed to change flights because the AUSA, whatever it is, the assistant attorney, they knew what flight she was meant to be on. So she was like, well, we need to change the flight because there's a leak somewhere. Okay. So she got them on a different flight. And then she hadn't had a chance to tell them that's what she was going to the pilot to do. And then the pilot got sucked out of the airplane. So nobody knows. So they think that she's like gone off and like murdered Dennis or something. I don't know.
They got off the grid and they're worried about him because they were like, there are people who are after him. There clearly are people who are trying to kill him.
Yeah. And I wrote that down. I wrote, quote, I'm sure she has it completely under control. Cut to chaos.
Yeah, and then we had the other scene. I want to ask you about this other scene in the graveyard. It was like a funeral scene, and it was probably referencing something that I don't know about because I didn't watch last season, but I didn't recognize anything as I should know about. But what was that all about? It was like one kind of
flashback.
Scene. It was a flashback.
It was a flashback. It was a scene at her.
Whoa! At her
the funeral of her fiance, who Dennis had met.
Killed. Okay, I get you. I totally didn't get that. That's what that was. I thought it was like cutting to some funeral of somebody who had died in another episode, some police officer. Yeah. I don't know.
No, again, it's like in the first episode, I was surprised that they did the plane was obviously going to crash into the other plane, and then they went back in time, and I thought they were going to say like 12 hours earlier on the screen, and they didn't. And the same thing happened. I went back to see if I'd missed it, that they were going to be like, 30 years earlier.
Yeah.
But no, they definitely expected us to pick that up. Because I don't think they said her name, but obviously they kept saying his name. But if you hadn't really been paying attention, then you'd be like...
How much have we talked about this in the past, though? How much of this storyline, did this all get revealed in the past season?
Yes. Yeah. There was like a whole episode about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess, it wouldn't be... I didn't pick up that was a flashback, but that's something that you just run the risk of when you do lots of flashbacks. And, okay, well, everything else, I think... What else was there? I want to see her landed. Now that we've cut it away, so we cut from the guy had a heart... We thought he was there in China, and they made a big moment of it, eh? Yay! Licensed pilot aboard. I'm like, you had that kid. What are you worried about? You had that kid. You were fine. But licensed pilot that has a heart attack and is out of commission. So now it might be up to Athena and the kid. And I still want to see her land it. I really hope that's what they go with. Because I think that, the co-pilot just was a reason to give us false hope before the end of the episode.
Yeah. And the final episode is, the final of the 3 opening episodes is going to be, because we have seen behind the scenes pictures of a lot of fire trucks at the airport. So I think towards the end of the episode, when Buck ran off and they were like, where are you going? We've got a call. They had the announcement was that everyone in LA was being called to this.
Yeah.
So, so the whole of at least some of the next episode is going to be them preparing for whatever emergency might be coming in, because it might crash or it might be fine, and then we'll wait and see what actually happens.
Well, my experience now with this show, my limited experience with the show is telling me that it's going to end in the first 5 minutes. They're going to land that plane safely, get everyone on board, but then there's going to be a new emergency at the airport that's going to cause them to have to do something at the airport. We're having a Die Hard situation at the airport. The Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
Terrorists are taking over the airport. They
saw this opportunity to, complete chaos.
The one guy said, should we evacuate the airport? So if they that's going to be a crazy situation. They try to evacuate an airport, a major airport like LAX. I can't imagine what that would look like.
I mean, they have said that they've cleared the runways. So
That's what all those people at the airport
yeah,
could be worried that the plane's gonna, like, I don't know. They probably have it coming in away from where all the people are. Hopefully,
well,
but I don't know. I think they're gonna resolve it really fast, and they're gonna present us with a new situation in the next episode to wrap this up. But the plane either will crash, like whatever, the landing gear won't come down and something like that, and then it'll have to, like, do something creative to land, or it'll, like, the kid will, like, save the day and land the plane. And
if anything happens to that kid, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
yeah, no, the kid deserves to live. Please, I don't want anybody. The death of that pilot is so shocking to me. I don't want anyone else to die in this situation. I really don't. Like, everyone else, they've worked so hard to save everyone's life on that plane. They have to land it safely now to make it all worthwhile, right?
Yeah, we had a good because plot moment when Maddie, Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, when she called through to Chimney, who is her husband, in case you didn't know that, she was like, "We're taking you offline," and he was like, "Why?" And she was like, "We need you for something else. We need you all to take calls from these people who are going through an emergency." And he's like, "Why us?" And he goes, she said, kind of like, "Because it needs to be you, because Athena's on the plane." And I was like, what? That's very much a because plot.
Yeah, because you are the main characters of this story. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Sydney, have you not realised you've got main character energy? Come on.
It's some nice moments in this. I'm trying to think of I didn't really pick up on a funny Chimney line, but I'm sure you had one. He's a good.
I mean, at the beginning, what I did like about the beginning, when we were sort of going over very briefly what happened with Gerard, Buck is absolutely not sure that he wasn't trying to kill him.
Well, he was trying to hit him, but I guess his reaction, because of the blade, he just had such good reflexes that he pushed him instead, right?
Well, I think he doesn't know whether he tackled him because he just wanted to tackle him, and it just so happened to be at the right time to take him out of the, path of the saw. And I just love that everyone else is like, yeah, let's have a dance party. And Buck's like, I think I tried to kill a guy.
At the very least, he did almost die. He did, like, they're very much like, it came so close to him. And then the guy, like, pulls out, he's like, I could buff that out if you want. He's like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So everyone's so lighthearted about this horrible accident that almost happened. But no, he's fine. They carted him off to the hospital and he's okay.
Well, I mean, I previously did make a TikTok saying that I thought, because we all thought someone was going to punch Gerard, and then they showed it behind the scenes with Gerard on the stretcher, and I was like, guys, there's workmen around. What if something falls on him and everyone just gets to relax because they didn't hurt Gerard? And I was so close.
Yeah.
I don't normally have theories. I felt quite proud of myself for that one.
That's good. That's a good one. For sure.
I don't think anything that we talked about last week came true, when we were like, because I was going, oh, it would be great if, like, Dennis could die and and Athena had to, like, decide to save him because he
will happen. That could be the third part of this episode, right? He'd be injured in the crash if they crashed the plane, or that third part of that episode has to be her getting him to safety. Maybe she's got to get him across LA to the courthouse or something like that. Right? That could be it too. That would be fun. I'll really enjoy that.
Because also there was that moment where he said, "I'm not going to take the deal," and I was like, "The fuck you take that deal, man?" I was like, so hard.
It's hard. Oh, no. Not those jerks, those assholes who are, like, trying to, whatever they're doing there. They're just, the DA guys are such jerks, and they're just demanding everything all the time. You don't want to see them get what they want, right? So
yeah.
But I don't know.
What I did like was that he was like, "I'm not going to take the deal," and she was like, "That's awful." And he went, "No, I'll still testify, but I don't want them to, like, I won't take the deal part of it. I'll still do my job, but they don't need to release me." And I was like, oh wow,
he's gonna go a prison for it, right? He wants to earn his time or whatever for his sentence, right? So yeah, and that actor also looks familiar. I want to say he was in Speed. but I could be wrong about that. I sometimes will recognize these actors, and there's a lot of like actors who do a lot of background roles. So Brian Johnson, I want to talk a little bit about Brian Johnson, who plays Gerard. I was looking into his IMDb, and his Terminator role was actually his first on-screen role. I didn't know that, but his first on-screen role was in the Terminator as the guy Arnold Schwarzenegger gets his jacket from. So basically, he presumably gets murdered by the Terminator in order to get his clothes stolen. But he's been in a lot of stuff since. He was in the X-Files as a recurring character, as far as he's kind of this big alien bounty hunter guy. He's very opposing. What else? There was something else. I should have written it down. But he's been in so much stuff over the years. His IMDb is kind of abridged because he's been in a lot of different minor roles as well.
So. Yeah. He delved into one of my least favorite tropes in the first episode, which is people shouting, "I need that here now," when it's not going to get there now. And I don't know, like, and it's not even necessarily a trope that I hate. It's a management style I disagree with, and I hate to see it. Because he was on the phone with Josh. He was, like, radioing into the dispatch and saying, like, "Where's my foam?" And he's like, "Well, it's caught in traffic, so it's about 20 minutes away." And he's like, "I don't care. Get it here now." And I'm like, who do you think you're helping? You're just trying to look like a big man. Like, just, it's so stupid.
Yeah. I was here last Tuesday, damn it. Like, that's something like, yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, like, it's going to make no difference. You just get to feel good that you shouted at someone. Like, be a better person.
He seems to be having fun with the role, though. I think that's not the kind of stuff he has usually played. So, and even like he's kind of sputtering nonsense as they're carting him off. That was quite funny, I thought. So hopefully he's okay. We'll see him back in the he'll be back yelling at them before you know it. I'm sure he won't be nicer as a result of it. He might be a little bit nicer to Buck because Buck saved his life, but I don't know.
Well, that would be. I have absolutely no idea where the Gerard storyline is going to go. If you want to know a behind the scenes tidbit that we've seen, do you want to know? There is apparently going to be a scene. We've seen pictures of him and Buck playing golf together.
Ooh, okay.
So that is so out of left field for me. I genuinely cannot imagine how that's come about.
Buck into golf? Has he been played golf before?
We have never seen him play golf.
Okay. Then I suspect it's Gerard's hidden passion that he never talks to anybody about. He loves golf. And it's when he can truly be at peace, and he's so nice on the golf course.
Yeah, but why is Buck there? This guy is horrible, and he hates him.
They're gonna have a talk. You saved my life, but that means I can't be any different to you on the field. I'd still be as tough as I always have been, but just so you know, I appreciate you saving my life.
But because I just don't think that Buck would. I think he'd just be like, fine. But then even if he was nice to him, like, outside of work, I don't think that Buck could be convinced to be like, okay, you could be horrible to me at work, but then, you're a nice guy now, so I'll go golfing with you. I can't see how they end up in that situation.
What if it's like they have those kind of firefighter golf tournaments, don't they? Have those for charity and stuff?
Oh, do they? That's interesting. I didn't know about that. Might be a way of getting it in there.
Like firefighters outfits, or they wear like golf outfits?
Nope, 100% just casually golfing.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what that would be, but that could be a reason for it, maybe.
Yeah, no, but I think like we said, maybe the bump on his head changes his entire personality. But even then, I can't. Well, I suppose Buck might be like, well, now I feel bad for him because this man has no friends because he's been horrible his entire life. And so maybe I'll feel sorry for him and go golfing with him. But I'm so intrigued as to how they will end up in that situation. But no idea when that's coming. No idea what episode that'll be.
Where do you find that stuff? Where do you get those pictures and that kind of stuff?
There is an Instagram and Twitter account, which is 911 TV News, I think it is. And the thing is, over the hiatus, we were getting quite a bit of like behind the scenes stuff that we've picked up from like crew members' Instagrams, because everyone follows the crew members and they'll put up a photo and then that gets put onto like 911 TV news and everyone goes, oh, look, you know, that's how we knew about all the fire trucks being at the airport.
Okay.
But somebody shared something and it got in the press, and so they shut everything down. They were like, right, no more photos on set, which I was amazed they'd even let it be. We, you know, even if it hadn't got into the mainstream press, everyone was talking about it. Everyone knows about it. So since then, we've had a full like blackout of behind the scenes stuff that hasn't been officially released, which I prefer. Like I said, I had that one theory and I got it right and that was fun. But I like not knowing anything. Like fan theories are fun and they're great. They're especially great because 99% of the time we are so wrong, and 80% of the time it's because they lied to us during promo. And so I really enjoy that.
It's not going to happen, right? They always do that. They mislead you. So speaking of, I want to talk about this before we finish. There was some 911 news this week about the spin-off show Lone Star. Right?
Yes.
That news that it's not being renewed for another season?
Yes, I think we've known about it for, like, officially for a couple of weeks, but we've all suspected. Because when 911 was cancelled by Fox, 911 Lone Star wasn't. But there's always been this feeling that if it was cancelled by Fox, it wouldn't be picked up by ABC. I mean, there's no information. I think they were talking about maybe doing another spin-off, like somewhere else. Okay. So it kind of feels like Lone Star is officially dead in the water. Okay. And we've had one crossover episode between the two.
Oh.
Which was fun because Lone Star is obviously set in Texas, filmed very much in LA, but set in Texas, and they had wildfires down there, and the 118, some of the 118 went to help them out. I swear to God, a lot of the 118 got in fire trucks to go to Texas, and then when they arrived, it was just like Henry, Eddie, and Buck, and Eddie, and Buck, and I was like, where did everyone else go? So we did have a crossover episode, and that featured one of my favourite moments, which was in an earlier episode of 911. There was a brief character who, like, he was like a guy who stole cars, and Athena arrested him, and then that actor became a main character on 911 Lone Star, and I was like, so that's the same guy. And they brought it up in this crossover episode. This guy said to Buck, he was like, oh, you're in LA, my cousin lives there. So they had, like, it was, and I was like, that's very nicely done. I'm so pleased that you've talked about that. That made me really happy.
Did you like Lone Star? Do you watch that one?
Lone Star is a very different beast. 911 is brilliant because it's very much an ensemble piece. Mm-hmm. You know, 911 is the Rob Lowe show. Plus, it has this really weird, like, filter on the screen. Like, the cinematography is... It took me, like, 3 or 4 episodes to get into it. And I have watched all of it up until the new series, but my favourite character has left for the final series. And I'm like, oh, I just don't know. I don't know if I can be bothered.
This character?
Oh, no, she leaves at the end of season 1, and I'm not a Liv Tyler fan, so I was happy to see her go. But she, so I haven't seen the final season. But yeah, Rob Lowe's character is so ludicrous that it's so dumb. Like, 911 is very unserious, as you now know. But, like, Rob Lowe's character in particular is just so... Oh, he's so infuriating. He's all into, like, clean eating, and he's got, like, facial ists. he's like really
same character as he did in. I'm watching Parks and Rec. Is the same character he did in Parks and Rec?
Oh, I haven't. Do you know what? I've watched the first episode of Parks and Rec, and I am not good with secondhand embarrassment. So I was like, I don't know if I can watch this show, so I've never gone back to it. And I know I must because everyone talks about how good it is. So I don't know him from that at all. But his ex-wife in Lone Star is, oh my gosh, I don't remember the actress's name. That's terrible. But she was in House, Lisa Edelstein. But she played Laurie, the sex worker, the escort in like the first few episodes of West Wing that Rob Lowe's character was with, and I was like, oh my god, look, that's so cute that they're back together.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I won't worry about that one then. I'm not. If they're gonna end it, it'll be 5 seasons. Whatever, we'll see. And it'll be interesting to see where they do the next one. Then they'll probably have to pick a different state, a different part of America to showcase.
But they'll still film it in LA. They'll just have like drone shots of like Las Vegas or whatever. It'll be like CSI or NCIS that have all of the like spin-offs in different cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to see one in New York. Just because I'll watch anything in New York.
Yeah, me too. I love New York. It's a great setting for any. I mean, it's got to be super expensive to shoot there, so I wouldn't imagine they would shoot it there. It'd be difficult to. Well, I guess all the exteriors could be just shots of fire trucks in New York, and then they could do the interiors in LA. I don't know. It's doable.
Yeah.
I don't know New York.
Just get a load of B-roll. Get a load of B-roll in New York, and then come back to LA and shoot the rest of it. And
you know how much they are like reusing their B-roll, right? You pointed that out in past seasons of this show, where they reuse the same footage of the.
And they use the same B-roll, and I think somebody pointed out to me, and I haven't spotted it, but I always say Eddie looks different in every season. He's a bit of a chameleon, and like he sort of rebuilds his body in every hiatus, and he comes back looking like a lot tighter and leaner, or he's like big and muscular. And there's one series in particular that he has like a buzz cut. He's got very short hair, and so they use like B-roll from that in a series where he had big fluffy hair, and you're like, well, you can't, because once he's sitting in the he's like getting onto the engine, he's got big fluffy hair, then you see him in the engine, he's got short hair, and then he gets off and he's got like big fluffy hair.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you would notice that.
No, but I didn't notice that, but someone told me about it, so I love it.
Something you would notice. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up for this session?
There was only one thing that the Brad said. So the actor on Hot Shots who's obsessed with Bobby, he said to Bobby, "Oh, you should be we should go up into the mountains and like you can yell at us. You can really berate us, and it would be such a good experience." And Bobby went, "I do love berating people." And I suddenly thought, wait a second, he and Gerard need to swap jobs, because Gerard does love berating people, and I think he'd be really good.
Well, let me tell you where I think that's going, and where I would like to see it go is for him to arrange for, let's bring those actors into this, our firehouse of our main characters, the one that always gets picked for everything because they're the main characters of the show. And let's have him just have them, Gerard, let him loose on those guys and have him yell at them and scream at them and run them through drills and stuff. And that's his boot camp that he'll get. And then he'll be like, oh, he won't want to do it after that. He'll be like, okay, I spoke too soon. But yeah, that's what I want them to do. I don't want them to go off. He's like, we'll go to the mountains or my house and whatever in Hollywood Hills. Like, dude, go to a firehouse. What are you talking about? Doing this in the mountains. What are you gonna do? Right?
Yes. Yeah, that made me think of there's another fire show called Fire Country, Fire County. I watched a few episodes of it, but it was something that took itself a little more seriously, and so I wasn't really into it. And they're like in the mountains, and I was like, oh, they can do a crossover. I have no idea what channel Fire County's on, but he can go and join them. And just to update you on my life, because I know you're fascinated, with what I'm doing with myself. I've finally found my stopping point with SWAT.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. I was getting worried about you. Why? What happened with the stopping point?
Well, it's fascinating because I thought I had a favourite character. I have had a favourite character in that show from day one. It's Deacon. Even though some of his beliefs I don't approve of, I don't agree with, but he is fascinating to me, and also, admittedly, on a completely shallow level, hot. And I've always gone, he's my favourite character. But another character left, and now I'm not interested anymore. And I'm like, oh, he was obviously my favourite character. So yeah, I watched a couple of episodes without him and went, I am so bored of this.
It's weird how that can happen, right? That can happen to any show where you can be invested, like not even realize how much one character can change the entire dynamic of the show, or like for some part of it that you didn't realize you liked. And that will change it. That's interesting. So you're done with SWAT then?
Yep. So I watched the first episode of Deadwood. That was like, I like watching series where I know they've like been completed, rather than trying to start a Netflix show that they're going to cancel 48 hours after the first episode's aired, So I like to watch like old shows that I haven't seen that I know are fully done.
That's good. That's a good strategy. Yeah, there's a lot of Netflix shows I don't bother with because it's what's the point? Are they going to have a second season? Who knows? Actually, no, I did watch the one Chaos that was on Netflix with Josh Goldblum, the one about the Greek mythology, kind of a take on.
Right, yeah.
It was interesting. It was cool, and I'm like, is this going to be like one of those like limited series? Or then towards the end of it, I'm like, oh, it seems like they're trying to set it up for a second season, but it's a big budget show, and I'm like, I don't know if they're getting all these big name actors back for a second season. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, I got spoilt by The Wire. Because The Wire was a situation where they went in knowing what all 5 seasons were going to be. And they went in and pitched the whole thing. And so they knew they would have 5 seasons. And they, and then you watch something like Lost where they thought they would have like 3. And then it gets extended. And they have to pad it out. And you're like, just stick to your guns. I know everyone wants to make money. But if you have a great idea that's 3 seasons long, don't make the show 7 seasons long.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. But nobody does that anymore. Nobody comes up with a 5-season plan. I think it's like, let's come up with a 1-season plan, and then if it gets popular, if it hits, and they're going to make more.
Yeah, it's not worth coming up with a 5-season plan. Nobody's going to go in for that now, And I think the way it all works now is disappointing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, well, we're gonna have to end it there on disappointment.
Sorry.
Okay. No, that's good. I'm looking forward to the next episode 911. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Hopefully they get the plane down okay, and Athena can get her prisoner Dennis to his location, and then Gerard is okay. I think that's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and I hope that something, something petty and mean happens to the feds. So don't lie them.
They'll be embarrassed in some way, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right? Just humiliate them. That'll make me happy. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, or
See you next week.